ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joshua Thorfayes Kareem, and welcome to my Tea Talk. Today we're going to be talking about a well-known play called Mother's Courage by a famous playwright of the name of Bertolt Brecht. Now you may be wondering, why are we talking about a play from 1941? That, ladies and gentlemen, is because of the atmosphere that is within our country today. But we'll be getting to that later. First, let's talk a little bit about the play, which is set in a time in the 1600s between a 30-year war between Sweden and Poland. Our setting is directly in Poland as we follow Mother Courage and her 3 children throughout the years and through the play. Each one of our 4 protagonists represents a different aspect in war. Starting with Mother Courage. She represents the main theme of the play. War is business. She makes profit from the war, whether it's selling bullets from regiment to regiment, or selling food, blankets, and such on and so forth. She represents the men and women who make money off of this struggle that goes along all over the world. But by making all of her money through this, she loses a thing that's most important to her family. Starting with her first son, Elif. Elif is a young man, brave and strong. He wants to fight for what's right. He has the courage of 1,000 men, much like a lot of men and women these days who sign up to fight in our army. But much like Elif, they all suffer the same fate. Because as the years go on, what Elif perceives as courage is just straight out cruelty. The biggest one being where he slaughtered a village to take their oxen. Right there, Mother Courage loses her first child. Because Elif no longer is the man who he was. He's something else now. Much like how the men and women who join our military as bright-eyed, good intentions people come back broken, sad, and worse. Next is Swiss cheese. Now, Swiss cheese is a not so bright young man, but with a heart of gold, and integrity like you wouldn't believe. What Swiss cheese represents is those men and women who have that integrity. He represents what happens to them. Because of Swiss cheese integrity, he goes to retrieve a lockbox full of cash because it is the right thing to do. And in doing so, he dies. This is where Mother Courage loses her second child because of his integrity. Now, this represents how the men and women who have that integrity within our military, what happens to them when they speak out and try to do the right thing. They die, both sometimes literally and sometimes figuratively. But they die twice. Because everyone suffers a literal death. But these men and women suffer a figurative death within the eyes of their peers and their family. Because they're burnt, destroyed, and killed for trying to do the right thing. Then, the most tragic of her 3 children, Katrine. Katrine is a young girl in the beginning of this war, lost her voice due to some tragic action that was taken out against her. She's then scarred later on in the play on her face, destroying her beauty and her marriage prospects. Katrine represents the children that are destroyed by war. She represents what happens to a young child in a war zone. But in the end, she finally speaks, but is to martyr herself to save children. Katrine dies from her kindness because, much like those children who are raised in those zones, she has buckets of kindness and is willing to do it and use it no matter what. Our theme, ladies and gentlemen, war is business. Because without these 3, business cannot happen. We must do as Brecht wanted us to do, and that is to oppose war. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you might be wondering, how does this all tie together? How does it tie to what is happening today? And that is because, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 18 years, we have been at war in Iraq and Afghanistan and all over the Middle East. And you may be wondering, well, yes, but we're fighting terrorism, and we're fighting this, and we're fighting that, but we're also lining the pockets of billionaires and weapons dealers and all these terrible people at the expense of the innocents within our own country and external. Think of the men and women like Elif, who you know have left for war and have come back different and broken. Think of the men and women that you know like Swiss cheese, who had that integrity and you never got to see them again. But all you know is that something bad has happened. And then think of all the Katrines that are left all over the world because of this. Ladies and gentlemen, to save our country, we have to oppose war, much like the playwright did. Whether that is by protesting, writing to your congressman, whether that is in a direct way, fighting against the machine, we must oppose war. We must do it if we are willing to save the people that are around us that we cherish. Because yesterday it was your high school best friend, your college buddy who enlisted. But tomorrow it could be your child who is taken into this machine and spat out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to leave you with two things. First, I'd like you to think, when is there a time in your life that war hasn't occurred from the United States to another country? Then I want you to think, after that, who has this benefited? Has it benefited you and me, the common Joes? Or has it benefited people like Mother Courage, who make money and continue on with their lifestyle no matter what happens to those who it affects? Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for listening to me today. And I'd like, again, to challenge you to oppose war as much as you can. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Bye-bye.